You ever hurt someone's feelings before? And they bring it up to you, and instead of you having a conversation where you're open with them, you're able to discuss these feelings and come to a resolution where you guys are actually stronger and closer together, you get this feeling of maybe physical, emotional, that you're not good enough, that you messed up, and that this person is hurting you or attacking you to get back at you or to show you how bad of a person that you are. And I was a person exactly like this. When people would tell me their feelings, especially for something that I did personally, I didn't know what to do with them. I didn't know how to go about what was supposed to happen afterwards. And I just felt like that person was attacking me, and so I would get angry back, and I would make excuses, or I would dismiss it, or avoid the whole situation together and just take away space, just so I didn't have to deal with that. Or I would say to the other person, you're over complaining, you're being too much. But at the end of the day, if you love that person, or you know that person, or you really care for that other person, their feelings come before anything else. So I'm gonna go over and tell you why you may actually get a physical feeling of not wanting to talk about how you made another person feel, especially if that was bad in any case. First thing you have to ask yourself is why. Always ask yourself this question. Why do I feel that way? And why is it so hard for me to do this? And what you'll find is a very common thing that has actually happened way back in childhood. I'm 22 years old now. I've met people, I've seen people who are in their 40s, 50s, have died with this mentality, with this belief that they can't be open and talk about their feelings, or when someone brings their feelings to them, that they get angry and assaulting and mean and retaliation back. I've seen it so much, and they never change. And this comes from somewhere in your childhood. So the first thing I would like to look at is the brain. It's a very crude drawing of the brain, but it's the brain. There are a couple components in the brain that we should take extra consideration to look at. The biggest one of that is the amygdala. We don't really need to know the name for it, but the amygdala is part of our brain that is really responsible for how we respond to certain situations with emotion, especially for fear and anxiety. There's another part of the brain slightly behind the amygdala, which is the hippocampus. The hippocampus is responsible for taking short-term memories and making them into long-term memories. The amygdala and hippocampus are very correlated to each other. They're so situated so closely together in the brain that the memory that you get from certain situations and the amygdala, which it makes certain situations that are negative or dangerous, they expand that so much more. These get really intertwined with each other. Another part of the brain I would like to talk about is the frontal cortex. And this is like the smart part of your brain. This is the part of your brain where a lot of rational thinking comes in, where your analytical abilities, your ability to just look at a situation objectively with compassion and understanding comes into play, not so emotionally heightened. And so we'll call this the smart part of your brain. So let's just talk about these three for right now. Let's now go back into childhood and say you are a little girl with your little dress on. You have your nice little hair. You're smiling. Nice little eyelashes. Your dad comes into the house. I don't know why your eyelashes are like 4 feet long, but when your dad comes into the house, he's very angry. And as a kid, and you're just chilling there, being yourself, maybe you've left a mess. Maybe there's, things that you've done that the adult doesn't really like so much. And instead of that adult telling you in a calm way and explaining to you, certain things have to be done, this person gets very angry at you and they start maybe shouting, they start yelling, they call it name calling, insulting. Well, what's going to happen is that all of this negative energy, is being brought from that adult, in this case your parent, your dad, onto you. And so when that happens, certain things appear in the brain. The first thing that happens is the amygdala starts firing off. You get the input from your eyes and your ears. And the input in this case is what I call the subcommunication. And so that will be things like the facial expressions. It'll be things like the eye contact. It'll be things like the body language. And then in the voice, it'll be the tone. Hello, my sweet love. Hello, my sweet love. Hello, are you fucking kidding me? Okay, some things need to be done. Oh my God, are you fucking kidding me? And so all these things are being interpreted by the subcommunications. Body language, eye contact, your tone of voice, facial expressions. And when all of those things are communicating negative energy, what happens in the brain of the receiver is that the amygdala goes off. And this amygdala is going off because it's sensing danger. It's sensing, oh shit, we're in trouble. And especially when this is coming from a parent, a guardian, the person taking care of you. What the child thinks in their head is, oh, the only person in this world who is taking care of me is getting mad at me. And they're doing all this mean stuff to me, and uh-oh, I'm really fucked right now. And it's not like you did something insane to elicit that response. It's just you were kind of chilling and you didn't know that your actions were hurting this person or agitating them. And now they just kind of like unexpectedly release it upon you. And so this could be like dirty dishes in the sink that your parent comes home and they're just so infuriated about it. They had a long day at work, stressful in their life, and they just need to unload. And they unload this negative energy onto you just like a kid. And what your kid brain does is interpret all that negative energy as, oh shit, my caregiver is getting mad at me. Well, if my caregiver is getting mad at me and to a certain point, doesn't love me anymore because they're not really showing any love right now, where's the love? It's not there. That person is thinking, oh, my parent could leave. They could leave, they could abandon. And if this happens, well, who's going to take care of me? No one. And I'm going to die. And this is a biological thing engraved into us as kids, as mammals, as like creatures. We need the approval of our parents because if we don't have it and they don't approve of us, well, they're going to leave us and we can't take care of ourselves, so we die. And so when this parent, guardian, does give this high amount of negative energy, it says, oh, I can't do this, or when I do this, I don't get love. And if I don't get love, I'm going to die. And so the amygdala is actually interpreting this negative energy as life or death. And because of this, some other stuff happens in the brain that we'll get to in a sec, but the hippocampus takes this negative energy, this short-term memory, and then it converts it into a long-term memory. And this long-term memory is something that we can go back into our brain and kind of relive. And now what you have is a memory that is with you for a long time, so you remember it. And now it's also very linked to the feeling of life or death. And so when dad comes into the room and he's very mad at you because you've left a mess, but you don't know you've left a mess, and he unleashes this negative energy on you, well, you're feeling, oh, death, 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 I'm going to die. Don't do that again. Don't do this again. Don't be, and he's not really explaining it that well. Your brain kind of shuts off. You don't get to use the thinking part of your brain. You instantly go into like this very survival, life or death situation. It's just like anything I can do to survive. And when this happens, part of your nervous system activates. And we call that the sympathetic nervous system. And this is your life or death part of your body that almost every animal has that activates when this life or death situation comes. And nervous system. And what this does is it boosts certain things in your body. It boosts adrenaline. So you get that energy to like get out of the situation. And it also boosts cortisol. So you keep getting this feeling of, oh, this is stressful, this is dangerous, this should not happen to me, this is a bad thing for my survival. And these two things and other stuff are activated through the HPA axis. And these are three parts of your brain, or these are two parts of your brain in one part, a gland called the adrenal glands that are sitting above your kidneys. And what it does is it takes, basically there's another part in your brain called the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is basically like the command center. It tells what hormones need to go where. And so what happens is that the amygdala is now taking in, say this is like event number one. The amygdala is now interpreting this high amount of negative energy as a life or death situation. And then the hippocampus remembers it. It remembers the facial expressions. It remembers the type of tone, the type of thing that initiated this fear response. And what happens is that the amygdala tells the hypothalamus that, oh shit, we're in danger. And the hypothalamus, which is the H part of this, it's another part in your brain somewhere, what it does is it sends a signal to the pituitary. And the pituitary is a little small pea-sized piece in your brain, and it gets the signal from the hypothalamus and it says, oh shit, we're in danger, we're in stress, okay. And what this does is then send another hormone to kind of like a hormone a signal to the adrenal glands. And these adrenal glands sit right atop your kidneys, and this connects to your nervous system and your bloodstream, and all of it is interconnected. And what it does is that your adrenal glands get the signal from the pituitary, which got it from the hypothalamus, and it says, oh, we're in danger. And what happens is it starts boosting things like cortisol, and adrenaline through the bloodstream, into the bloodstream. And this all happens within like milliseconds, instantly. If you're a child, it probably happens a bit longer, but after this thing builds up, it happens instantly. So we have a whole bunch of things happening right now, okay? Basically, our amygdala is getting input from visual and audio, and if that visual and audio is negative and it's like overbearing and it's inducing stress upon us, basically that is then signaled to our HPA axis to send cortisol and adrenaline through our bloodstream, which gets us pumped up. It gets us, whoa, whoa, whoa. However, in this situation, if you're not able to run, because I don't think you're able to run away from your parents, right? You're in your room, or you're not able to fight back, not able to fight your parents, well, this flight or fight response that your sympathetic nervous system is giving you, the survival response it's giving you, you're not allowed to do any of these things. And so a third thing happens, which is called freeze. And so in these situations, if you couldn't run or you couldn't fight back, you couldn't defend yourself, well, the freeze response would happen. And this is your body kind of just shutting down. And in here, things like dissociation may happen, where you're physically there, but mentally you have disconnected from the situation because the stress is so high. But let's just go back to the beginning. And now what happens the second time that your father comes in, and again he's had a long day at work, he's stressed, and he needs to unload? Well, he unloads that negative energy, but the thing is, your hippocampus has already stored this memory. It kind of knows what's going to happen again. It's taken that short-term memory that you had in those couple of minutes or whatever it was, and because it was such a visceral response in your body and mind, it has transformed that into a long-term memory. And that long-term memory gets stored in your body, basically, in your muscles, in your nerves. And so next time that your father now gives you this negative energy, you already know what's going to happen. And so in a way, your amygdala is already prepared. Your amygdala is already prepared and looking for that negative energy that your father could come and give to you. And so what happens is that it becomes way more sensitive to the stimuli that you had first received in this first memory. And what was that stimuli? It was negative energy. And what is the negative energy? It's the subcommunications, your tone of voice, your eye contact, your body language, and of course what you're saying too, right? If this person's calling their daughter, fat or or stupid or lazy or dumb, well, all of those are going to be put onto the child. And also from there, what they're going to believe, because it's their parent, when you're a kid, you just believe what the adults tell you, is that they're going to believe these things too. And so they're going to believe they're lazy, they're stupid, they're no good. And again, all these things are getting stored into the brain and subconsciously. And so now we have a heightened sensitivity in our amygdala. So now we are very sensitive to NE. Anytime we may experience NE, we're now relating it to what happens afterwards. And what happens afterwards is, pain, basically. And that pain activates the flight or fight response, which is your sympathetic nervous system, which is activated through the HPA axis. And this boosts adrenaline and cortisol. Okay, so we have those things in mind. Well, if this situation, this kind of thing happens over and over again throughout years of growing up, right? Say this girl's 5, and maybe it goes on till when she's like 17, right? And not every day, but a couple days out of the week, a couple days out of the month, you don't know when dad's going to come home and have this insane outburst or something's bad's going to happen, right? And so every time it does happen, the amygdala starts boosting its sensitivity to NE. The hippocampus stores more memory of that pain associated to it, and it creates this positive feedback loop where now even the slightest bit of negative energy, where it may not even be negative energy, it could just be like a person's natural response to something that you're interpreting now as negative energy. And because you've interpreted that as negative energy and you have this association with pain from that, even a random person giving you like a bit of a bad response could immediately activate this entire system. And if you live in this system for your entire life, your prefrontal cortex, the neocortex, the smart person that you are, where you have this analytical thinking, is not able to be working. And you actually see a lot of people with smaller neocortexes, they're not able to they've gone through a lot of certain things in their life where they've been in a very chronic and ongoing state of stress, of anxiety, because you have to understand, when the cortisol is in your bloodstream, after the situation is gone, it just doesn't disappear. The cortisol stays in your bloodstream for about 3 hours longer. It stays in your bloodstream for about 3 hours longer the event has gone. And what happens is that your base nervous system gets now skewed into this realm of always on anxiety, always prying for something bad to happen. And what you get is a just kind of like chronic active sympathetic nervous system activation. Your body constantly is giving this feeling of muscle tenseness, of a shallow breath, of you always looking out for negative things, because that's what the cortisol does to you, right? It makes your breath more shallow, your mouth more dry, messes up your appetite. All these things are happening. And this lasts for 3 hours after the fact, but then it lasts chronically. It leaves these effects chronically the more times that it does happen. And so if it happens once, okay, the effects maybe stay for like a week, but then it never happens again in your life. well, then the amount is just so small. But if it happens week 1, week 2, week 3, and it just builds and builds and builds, well, that's how you have this like always this anxiety, this always mind that something bad is going to happen. And you have to understand where, what is inducing this. So if you were just chilling by yourself, playing with your blocks, but you were making a mess and your, dad came in, my God, you fucking stupid child, always making a mess with your goddamn blocks. I should have never bought that for you anyways. Waste of fucking money, good God. Well, oh my God, horrible dad. Well, first of all, you get a lot of bad mindsets about yourself. And again, your amygdala starts kicking in. All these things are telling you, oh shit, I'm not a good person, I'm about to experience a lot of pain. And why? Well, just because I was being myself. And especially because of the person giving it to me. And so this doesn't have to be dad. We'll just call him X in this case. Mr. X. And now, anytime I'm around Mr. X, well, what is my brain telling me? Hey, so many times in the past, Mr. X has been very mean to us. And our amygdala around Mr. X is very active. And already it is sending signals to the hypothalamus, which is sending signals to your body to get that cortisol ready, to get that adrenaline. And so even without any negative things happening, you're still in that state. You're still in that state. You're still ready for it to happen. Not only are you ready for it to happen, your body is already reacting as if it is happening. And so what happens is that you may become super hyper vigilant of this person and of other people, always looking for, okay, how is this person going to hurt me? How is this person going to hurt me? How is this person going to hurt me? Always looking for that negativity so you're prepared. So your amygdala is always looking for this negative energy so it can prepare your body to fight, or run away, or freeze, dissociate. So you're not in that realm anymore. Now let's get back to the main point of the video where expressing your feelings may give you a physical discomfort. And so now let's say this person, this little child, says to her father, I don't like it when you do that, it hurts me. It hurts me when you're like this, stop, father. And it could be in the moment, it could be afterwards. But how this person responds to it is going to dictate a lot too. Because this person now has the belief of when I'm just being myself, I'm always at the potential of being in danger. And now if they go to express their feelings to this person, hey, I'm feeling upset, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. And this person again reacts negatively to the expression of emotion. It hurts me, I'm feeling bad, I'm not feeling the best. And then when it's not met with compassion, oh, I'm sorry you're feeling that. I'm sorry I did that to you. I love you. I didn't mean to do that. And again, how are these communicated? Yes, through the words, but a lot through the subcommunications. Is that person giving you loving eye contact, a warm touch, a nice warm sound of voice when they're talking to you? That's how you're really going to allow these emotions to come across. And so you can be compassionate and just have like a very stern voice. Hey, well, I love you very fucking much. You shouldn't do that again. I hope it doesn't happen. How cold does that sound? How distant and compassionate. No, it doesn't sound that, right? And so again, a lot of this is happening in the subcommunications, especially with kids. I teach a lot of kids. For chess lessons I do, very young kids too. More than anything, it's the tone of my voice. It's my eye contact. It's my body language that makes them react in certain ways. And so I have to correct myself a lot of the times where I may say something, I may do something, and I see the reaction is negative to them. I'm like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. And then I'll recorrect by, having a warmer tone of voice, looking them in the eyes, saying sorry, putting a gentle hand on their shoulder, sorry, I didn't mean that, to whatever it was, right? And sometimes I don't even mean to be mean. I'm not mean, but they interpret it as that because my voice was maybe a bit too harsh. My tone was a bit too harsh. The something I did in my subcommunications was a bit harsh, and they didn't like that. And so I readjust. But now I'd like to show you that when this girl says to Mr. X, hey, my feelings are like this, and this can come out a whole bunch of ways. This could just be crying. This could be telling verbally. It could be avoiding the pain. All these are ways of telling the other person, hey, you're hurting me. I don't like this, what is happening. Now this person could react in two ways. One way is that they could get even angrier and start showing more negative energy. Why the fuck are you crying? Why aren't you talking to me? Why don't you love me when I have these conversations? Why? Why can't you just do this? Why, blah, blah. I'll give you something to cry about. Keep crying like that, I'll give you something to cry about. Well, what does that say to this girl? Oh, when I try to express my feelings, when I try to talk about things that are upsetting me, I am not hit with compassion. I am hit with more negative energy. I'm hit with more pain. Do not go down this route. And what happens is that this person begins to bottle it up and says, oh, I can't talk about it to you. And if this person doesn't have a good ESS, an emotional support system, brothers, siblings, sisters, grandparents, other family, friends, if this person doesn't have an ESS, an emotional support system that they can talk about their feelings to, everything's just going to be bottled up. And they're just going to have this belief that I can't talk to anybody. It's bad to talk to other people because it leads to pain. And they won't even know what it looks like. Especially maybe this father and the wife. God's sakes, he has a wife. And the dynamic between their two, they can't express emotions. This kid is watching that. They're watching this, the inability for their parents to express emotions healthily. When they try to express their emotions, they get hit with more pain, more negative energy. Well, everything is just saying, okay, keep it down here. Don't let that out. And now when this lady grows up, and someone that is her age, maybe even younger, could be like a kid too, well, what is she going to do? Is she going to naturally become a new human being who is capable of expressing emotions in a super healthy way? No, she's going to do exactly what she saw and what she experienced, because that's all she knows. And so now if this person is going to give her some of his feelings, hey, this is how you're making me feel. Hey, you upset me in this way. Well, what is going to happen in her brain? The amygdala is going to be like, I've seen this before. The hippocampus is going to be like, these memories are here. And what's going to happen? An automatic response after years of programming within that person, years of this just natural state of flight or fight, natural state of sympathetic nervous system, natural state of, if I express myself more, it's going to lead to way more pain. If we talk about feelings, it's going to lead to way more pain. I've never even seen it. I don't even know what that healthy communication looks like. I've only seen this. I've only seen when I talk about feelings, other person gets more mad. That's what's normal. Okay. This person is then going to respond with negative energy. Or if they don't want to respond with negative energy and they just want to try to hold their emotions back, because this person has years of emotional energy inside of them saying, bad, I'm bad, this is not good. It's not good to talk about your emotions. Person gets it. They either get negative energy back or this person runs away and they avoid. Instead of talking about it openly, they will push the other person away, maybe even insult them back, be mean to them back, retaliate back. Why? Because it's what happened to them. It's what they saw. And then even to that kid, they're not going to be able to be open and expressive and talk about, hey, you did this to me. Well, I didn't mean to. Why are you calling me an asshole? I didn't mean to do that. Why are you being mean to me? Why are you saying I'm a horrible person? And this person's like, I'm not saying you're a horrible person. I'm not saying you're a horrible person. I'm just saying how I felt. And, you may have made me feel that way. I know you're not a bad person, but can we just explain? Can I just get some closure? Can I get some understanding about what was happening? No. These emotions are not good to talk about. Fuck off. Fuck you. Fuck everyone. And then, what does this person do to their kid? Same thing. And that frown turns to that smile turns to a frown. And that cycle repeats and repeats and repeats until someone, when they're old enough and they're able to understand that negativity that they're feeling inside, where it's coming from, and that they don't want to live this or pass it down to anyone else, do they start to audit their actions, audit the other people, audit their life, audit their childhood, what has happened to them, and get to a point of, I can't live like this anymore. I'm hurting the people around me, and even though I feel this biologically, physiologically, to the most engravement of every nerve, my nerves start firing when I'm talking about these feelings, immediately activate my SNS, my flight or fight. I'm immediately getting all this cortisol and stress in my body when this is happening. It's auditing that and then coming to mindfulness of, hey, I don't want to be like that. Using the prefrontal cortex, the smart part of your brain, taking deep breaths, lowering that stress, and then acting differently with the subcommunications and the words. I'm sorry you feel like that. Loving eye contact, touch, compassion. I didn't mean to do that to you. Is there something that I can help you with? Tell me more. And again, if that person has never seen what that healthy communication looks like, they're not going to be able to be like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. So it's good to see it from someone else, to maybe experience it from someone else, but at least see it, or get the knowledge to do it, get the knowledge to understand how it is, and then putting it into practice. And then slowly over time, you will show the brain that, hey, when I do talk about these feelings, it doesn't lead to any more negative energy. I'm not around those people anymore. It leads to positive energy. And it's not something that's bad or made to look worse than it is. I'm okay being this person. I'm okay talking about these emotions. I don't get this stress anymore. I don't want to be part of that human. I don't want to be that person anymore.